Greetings friends, Jawless Paul here. We're talking about the cast duo boons in this video. So I wanted to go over each of these. We already did the cast boon video and gave those our opinions about. And so today we are looking at the duo boons that have to do with casts. So let's start with Ice Wine. This is a Dionysus Demeter duo boon, and it requires having Dionysus cast Trippy Shot. It gives the cast a chill effect. It also makes the blast 30% more powerful, more damage, and perhaps most importantly, it removes the lob mechanic. You no longer lob the cast. You don't really see the cast fly through the air, but it just teleports to wherever your mouse is when you cast it. It's incredible. This is the first S tier cast boon I'm going to give, because honestly, Dionysus cast, when you remove the lob mechanic, it is super good. This does that all by itself, and it inflicts a curse, which is fantastic, and the bonus damage is incredible as well. Next, we've got Scintillating Feast. Scintillating Feast is another Dionysus boon that affects Dionysus cast. You have to have Dionysus cast Trippy Shot and some Zeus boons, or a Zeus boon, and then this opens up for you. This one is also quite good. So Trippy Shot has very good burst damage, but what it lacks is sustained damage, right? You get that big burst, but then if you run out of cast stones, say you're using Infernal Soul, you run out of cast stones. Sure, you're getting the mini stuns on enemies, but you don't have that sustained damage. So if you're a very cast focused build, you're kind of stuck there twiddling your thumbs. Not so with Scintillating Feast. With Scintillating Feast, lightning strikes are abundant. They're doing 60 damage apiece, and that is a lot of damage, my friends. It's a lot. It ends up adding up to quite a bit. Not only that, but you can get jolted, you can get double strike, you can get high voltage, all the lightning strike boons. Now lightning strikes can also crit, so that's another amazing thing. Basically, I think it fills all the spaces. The weaknesses of Trippy Shot kind of makes up for them with lightning damage. So I'm gonna put this in S tier as well. Maybe not as high as Ice Wine, but it's very good. I think you're gonna be very happy if you try this out. And another fun thing is that you can get both of these duo boons together, and they work with each other. Very fun. Very fun set of boons to try for. And some of my favorite builds utilize that set of boons right there. Next, we have Lightning Phalanx. So Athena's cast normally just tracks to an enemy and then it explodes. There's a small area of effect, but this boon makes Athena's cast bounce, much like Zeus's cast bounces 3 times. It can bounce 3 times. Now, a couple disappointments with this one for me personally. I was a bit disappointed when I found out that it does not inflict any lightning damage. So the status effect Jolted does nothing with Lightning Phalanx. It won't apply. The other maybe small problem with it is just how slow it is. It doesn't move very quickly around. However, with a room full of enemies, imagine if each of your Zeus casts also exploded for some area damage. Would you be happy about that? Yes, you would. If enemies are close together, it's fantastic. It does a ton of damage, a ton of area damage. So I like this cast very much. The Athena cast is slower than the Zeus cast, so it bounces a little bit slower, but truthfully, if you can find enemies and you can kind of herd them together in a clump, and you send a couple of these bad boys out, that clump is a dead clump. All right, very nice. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Super solid. That is Lightning Phalanx. Very solid. Very solid boon. Next, we have Curse of Drowning. This is a Poseidon Ares boon. This is actually it requires the Poseidon boon Flood Shot and an Ares boon. Rather than sending out a cast, it makes you a pulsating kind of cast yourself, and then you do area of effect damage and pretty decent damage. You get 3 pulses per cast that you load in. They load in kind of similar to how Haribo loads casts in, or Beowulf Shield. There is a cast animation, so it doesn't just instantaneously all go in, which is kind of a bummer. So the trouble with this one is the area is somewhat small, and it's risky, right? Because you have to be close to enemies. So you take that, it also knocks back though. So if you think about the builds where you would want to do this, like say, you know, a sword build or a fist build or even a spear build somewhat, but you're knocking enemies back, so it's tough to connect with those enemies with your other attacks, which you probably want to be doing anyway. And you're going to need to be dashing around and trying to stay safe while just kind of hovering near enemies to do this. I've done several Curse of Drowning builds, and it was very dangerous. Felt like I was taking a lot of hits. So I wouldn't say that it's my favorite. It's my favorite one, but I would say that it's not terrible, and it does very, very good damage. I'm going to leave it in B tier for now, and we'll kind of revisit it maybe if we'll tweak this tier list as we go, but that's my initial thought. Okay, next we have Blizzard Shot. Okay, Blizzard Shot is another Poseidon boon, and it takes Poseidon's cast, Flood Shot, and it combines it with Demeter, and it makes it a blizzard shot. Now, okay, Blizz Shot is a little bit strange, and the reason that I find it a little bit strange is that it does multiple effects. So first of all, it makes your Poseidon cast move much slower. So if you were bouncing around, dashing around, sending out casts and like blowing up parts of the screen and then having a good time, and then you get Blizzard cast, you may feel a little bit let down because you send the cast out and it's this slow moving projectile that can hit an enemy multiple times, right? It doesn't stick in an enemy, but you've lost kind of the AoE burst. Obviously, you've lost the sticking in effect, but what you've gained is some more damage, right? You have a bit more damage with Blizzard Shot, and you also have these shards that come out. These are kind of these swirly things. Think about Frozen Orb from Diablo 2. It kind of reminds me of that in some ways. It has a similar effect. However, I noticed that it is a little bit harder to hit. Lately, I've been disappointed. I used to feel very strongly that this was just a god tier version of the cast. I still like it. It still does a lot of damage and is very, very nice. It still scales with your Flood Shot, so the damage does still scale with Flood Shot if you get palms for that. But the shards are a little bit disappointing. You would think that they would do more than they do, and also the shards are the only thing that can inflict chill. Poseidon's cast itself, the thing that's slowly moving across the screen, does not inflict chill, which can be annoying if the shards, for some reason, they just don't connect with an enemy. I'm not sure if that's something that the devs want to work on or figure out, that the shards don't connect very often, even if they're like right on top of an enemy. Sometimes it feels like it's just not doing the damage that you would imagine. But that is kind of the way I feel about Blizzard Shot. I like it, but I don't know that it's the strongest thing ever. I'm going to put it in A tier, high A tier. Still very solid, but has some lackluster aspects as well. Next, this is Mirage Shot. Mirage Shot basically takes your cast and adds a second projectile, okay? So it's got reduced damage, but you have fired 2 projectiles instead of just 1. The second projectile does 30% of the regular cast damage. You can think of it in a couple different ways. You can think of it as just 30% bonus damage, right? It just does 30% extra damage. But you can also think of it like, say you've got Scintillating Feast and you fire off Scintillating Feast. Sure, the initial burst does 30% more damage, but then you've got 2 instances of the cloud that are producing lightning bolts. So that is much, much better. That's not really figured in with just the 30% because those lightning bolts are each doing 60 damage a piece. You could also think of it with like anything like for instance, you got the Demeter cast, the crystal. If it's got glacial glare and it's inflicting chill, it'll inflict chill that much faster. So if you're doing an Arctic blast Demeter cast build, this could be incredible because you're applying stacks twice as fast with each of your casts. Very, very solid. I think that it's hard to put this in any other category other than S tier. There's no change or downside to it. It works on every cast. It's a Poseidon Artemis duo boon. And you kind of want Artemis anyway because you want more cast stones. Yeah, and then Poseidon has a lot of cast boons designed around him as well, I've noticed. But yeah, I think that this is a very solid cast boon to go for in any cast build. Next, we have Freezing Vortex. Freezing Vortex changes your Ares cast. It's an Ares Demeter duo. Your cast now inflicts chill, so it's inflicting chill as it kind of slowly moves across the screen, but the blade rift size is reduced by 15%. 15% doesn't sound like a whole lot. It does feel smaller, although not terribly much smaller. It's maybe just a small change, but the way I feel about this is that inflicting chill doesn't do all that much in my opinion. It's great, like chill is not a bad thing, and it allows for some privilege status. But the thing that makes this one bad, it takes away the ability to get hunting blades. So I'll talk about hunting blades in a minute, and I'll kind of revisit this boon or this duo boon when we talk about hunting blades, but you can't get this combined with hunting blades, which doesn't make sense in my opinion. I think that they should be compatible, and for that reason alone, it would maybe be in B tier, just because, you know, an extra curse effect is nice, right? Like the chill is nice, but because you can't get hunting blades, it kind of bricks your slicing shot build, right? That cast build just does not work as well with that boon. So I have to put it down in C tier. Awkward, clumsy, a bit annoying. All right, next we have Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod makes it so when your cast stones are on the ground, they create lightning bolts. Those lightning bolts do 70, and it strikes every 1 second. So this boon produces more damage than you probably realize. It's only compatible with Infernal Soul, so you can't use Stygian Soul because you don't get cast stones on the ground with Stygian Soul. So you have to have Infernal Soul, which is maybe a disadvantage to any cast boot anyway. This is a unique one because it's actually not super amazing for a cast build. It's actually bad for a cast build, I'd say. Well, not bad, but it's kind of an anti-synergy, right? You kind of want to pick up your cast stones if you're in a cast build and fire off your cast again. But with this one, it incentivizes you to leave them on the ground, causing lightning damage. So I kind of think of this in kind of a whole separate category. The way that this boon is typically used, and the reason why some people think that this boon is pretty awesome, is because it allows you to kind of cheese fights, right? Like you're doing damage off screen. You can send those cast stones off and then just dash away, and it's just gonna kill whatever it's around. So like a lot of people will fire the casts into a wall and then lure a bunch of enemies over to the cast stones, don't pick up the cast stones, and then zoom away, and then those lightning bolts just kind of destroy them. It's pretty sweet. It's fun to do. I've done it a few times, and it's certainly fun. It's not a very quick way to play. You're going to be killing things a little bit slowly, but it's a very safe way to play, and so people like to kind of get through the game and cheese it a little bit with Lightning Rod. No judgment, you know, we got to get through the game somehow. So I'm going to rank it at B tier because it's got uses. It's interesting and it provides decent damage, but just not for a cast build. You want to pick up your cast stones, or you just want to use Stygian Soul. Okay, Lightning Rod stays right there in the middle. Hunting Blades. Hunting Blades makes your blade rifts seek enemies and follow enemies around like little annoying blade circles of death. I have talked about this one before. I have made many videos about this, or actually I should say it seeks for 3.3 seconds. The cast itself lasts for 4 seconds, so it doesn't seek for the entire 4 seconds. The reason that it's great is because Slicing Shot does a huge amount of damage. It takes palms incredibly well. The bonus damage really starts to ramp up when you palm up this cast quite a bit. I love this cast. This cast is so strong and so dominant. It's another one of those, you just send out your casts, as many as you can, and then you just run away. And like if you're fighting Hades or if you're fighting another boss, you just send the casts out and then you just get to safety, because the cast will just kind of chunk away at the enemy so fast. Another cool bonus kind of hidden interaction is that with the fast ticks of damage, those quick ticks of damage make your call charge up much faster. Your call is kind of based on the number of hits, not the total amount of damage. It's more about the hits that an enemy takes. so it charges that up very quickly. This is, I think, the best cast boon in the game. You take Slicing Shot, which is quite poor in my opinion, just by itself, and it turns it into the strongest thing ever. It's incredible. And then if you combine it with like Black Metal and Engulfing Vortex, which makes it the Blade Rift bigger, and it causes the Blade Rift to suck enemies in, and then you combine it with Ares Legendary, boy, this thing does a lot of damage. Next, we have Parting Shot. Parting Shot is an Athena Aphrodite duo boon. And this is only partially a cast boon, actually. So the way that this works is it gives bonus backstab damage, period. So all backstabs get bonus damage from Parting Shot. And then in addition to that, it allows your cast boons to backstab. So this is very, very nice. One mechanic that's, I think, pretty busted with this is to get Athena's cast and then get Parting Shot. If you can get Athena's cast and Parting Shot together, for some reason, oh, and on Haribo. For some reason, Haribo, when you fire off and use Athena's cast, the way, if you hit the enemy with the arrow, the casts, each of those casts will do backstab damage, and then you can pump up your backstab damage quite a bit with Athena and with the mirror, and even with keepsakes if you'd like. This is definitely A tier. I'm going to put it right in between these two. It does a lot of things. It's actually also a non-cast boon. This is good for any build with any backstab damage, like if you're using the fists and you're dashing through and doing lots of backstabs, which you do with the fists. This is a fantastic boon to grab. So I recommend it. I think you should give this one a look. It's kind of fun. Next, we have Cold Embrace. This is a Demeter cast plus Aphrodite duo boon. And the way that this works is it makes your casts seek after you. And so if an enemy is between you and the cast, they will take the damage. And it's 30% bonus damage. 30%, you say to yourself, that's a lot of damage. But the trouble is it's terrible. And it's terrible because it's very, very difficult to actually get these casts to do anything. To do damage. I've tried many times to make this work, and I end up just kind of hurting myself by getting in the wrong spot and just being generally out of position because I'm trying to get those stupid casts to do anything. They're not doing anything. They're just following me around. It's very, very annoying. It's a very annoying cast, and it takes a Demeter cast build and it kind of bricks it. I'm excited to hear the comment from someone who likes this boon and gets it to work, because I want to talk to you. I want to see how you do it, and I'm very interested in your take on this boon, because I think it's very, very bottom tier of the cast duo boons, cast boons in general. Especially when you consider the fact that Demeter cast is somewhat weak, maybe. Just the damage doesn't ramp up maybe as fast as some other things. Now, if you get all the lasers going at once and they're all tracking really well and they're staying on enemies, that's great, but it is a little bit annoying otherwise. Or it's just a little bit lackluster otherwise. Cold Embrace, D tier. There's your D tier boon right there. So next, we have Crystal Clarity. Now, Crystal Clarity is the other Demeter cast duo boon. So this affects your Demeter cast, but instead of making it track you, it makes your cast stronger and track foes more effectively. More effectively is putting it a bit lightly. It's a lot. It affects it a ton. It goes so much faster. It tracks enemies so much faster. In most situations, the base Demeter cast will not track with an average moving enemy. Maybe the slowest enemies it will stay with, but say you cast it in the wrong direction, or it's a fast enemy and it moves out of the beam, that beam is not catching the enemy before the enemy moves again or before the cast runs out. So This is, in my opinion, an essential boon if you want to do a Demeter cast build. It's just essential. You need it for it to work properly, and it gives 10% bonus damage, which is great. It's like a little cherry on top. This is one of the best set and forget cast situations that you can get. Second only to maybe Hunting Blades, because Hunting Blades I think is better because it can be larger, it can cover a large area and kill many enemies, whereas you're still limited by Demeter casts, which only deals damage to a single enemy unless you've got, Arctic Blast. And Arctic Blast is questionable too, because the enemies are, you kind of want those extra stacks of chill to just stay on the enemy if you've got Glacial Glare. This boon I think is another A tier boon. I would even put it above Blizzard Shot. These are duo boons, so this is why it's a little bit top heavy, this little tier list I've set up here. A little bit top heavy. Unfortunately, we don't have any duo boons for like Artemis cast specifically, or Zeus cast specifically, or Aphrodite cast. I would love to see those casts get some love, get some changes, right? Because like Poseidon, it's got multiple changes to its cast. So does Demeter cast. So does Slicing Shot. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how they would adjust some of those other ones, or cool combinations or whatnot. Yeah, that's my tier list though. I think that's pretty much how I would keep it. Ask me on a different day and I might do this. I might even do this. I don't know. It goes back and forth. I might even do this sometimes. But all in all, this is about where I put things today. I hope that this has been interesting for you in some way. If you have a different opinion, or if you kind of view things differently, I would love to hear about it in the comments. I love having these discussions with people, and I'm glad that there are people that like to talk about this stuff. I like to nerd out on this very much. But friends, if you found this video interesting or informative, please like it. That helps a lot. And if you want to see more stuff like this, please subscribe for more videos on Hades. I do upload a lot of runs. I also do some guides and some more tier lists where we talk about specific boons and how I feel about them. But that's going to do it for this video. If you want to catch me on Twitch, you can catch me on Tuesday nights. We're going to start doing some cooperative games on Tuesday nights, and then Saturday mornings, 7:30 a.m. Central and 8 p.m. Central on Saturday as well. Hope to see you there. Stop by, say hello. We'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy. There's a lot of practical considerations that you did not consider.